Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. Thanks for watching. This is CBC Windsor News. Minimum wage in Ontario went up starting today, but that boost is smaller than the past 3 increases in this province. The CBC's Dawson Chen brings us local reaction.
If you're earning minimum wage in Ontario, you just got a raise. As of October 1st, the province's minimum wage is $17.60 per hour, an increase of 40 cents an hour. Windsor minimum wage earners are welcoming the pay improvement, even if they have doubts it will impact their lifestyles.
It will help me a little more towards my tuition or any day-to-day necessities I may need out on campus or even at home. Everything's very expensive, so I've been trying to learn how to spend my money wisely before I move out.
I'm glad about it, I guess. It is a minimum wage job, so I don't expect much more than that, but I guess, I don't know.
Even if it's minimum, it should be that much that you can easily afford living. Yeah, even renting a personal room is expensive as of now.
If I said that, yeah, it will be like helping me to doing so many things, it will be exaggerating. If it goes higher, it will be good for people like us.
The province's minimum wage gets tweaked every year based on the Ontario Consumer Price Index, an indicator of inflation. The latest raise is smaller than adjustments the minimum wage saw in 2022, 2023, and 2024. Craig Pickthorne, an advocate with the Ontario Living Wage Network, says that even at $17.60, the minimum wage is still well below the living wage for Windsor-Essex, which he estimates at $19.85 an hour.
What we know is even after this modest raise, there is simply no place in the province where you can work a full-time minimum wage job and be able to pay all your bills. I think that a lot of people more and more now find that deeply unfair.
Kelsey Santarossa of Workforce Windsor-Essex agrees that Ontario's minimum wage is not a living wage, but she still feels the latest increase will help those working in retail and food service, the 3rd and 5th biggest employers in the region.
You know, I spent many years myself working in food service, so seeing, those increases to serving wage and things like that come up over time. I was part of those workers that were seeing those changes when they were coming through, and it's welcome at all levels.
Ontario's minimum wage has cumulatively risen $6 over the past 8 years. Back in October 2017, it was $11.60 an hour. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
A large crowd attended a vigil in downtown Windsor to honor American conservative activist Charlie Kirk. It happened last night at Dieppe Gardens, with many in attendance advocating for Canada to embrace some of his same values. The event in Windsor included various speakers and musical performances to memorialize Kirk. He was an influential figure in U.S. President Donald Trump's MAGA movement and had controversial opinions on women and race. The 31-year-old was shot and killed at a university in Utah earlier this month.
First of all, his love for Jesus, his commitment to his Lord and Savior, his commitment to family, his wife and children, and he just was a bold man that preached and tried reaching young people.
Charlie was a speaker, a debater, and a pundit, an influencer, but he was a Christian. And he wanted to be known for his faith. And I believe his legacy is proving that out. And you could just see that in the response of people. It's peaceful, respectful, and that was communicated at the event. And it was done very well by all in attendance.
But a few people did show up to the vigil in opposition, saying that people shouldn't be honoring Kirk, especially on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
Because I just think it's National Truth and Reconciliation Day, and this is what people are choosing to do their time with. Support somebody who's not even Canadian, first of all, and somebody who is as hateful as he is. It's unfortunate somebody died, but at the end of the day, he was very hateful, so I don't understand why he has this huge mass of people following him and supporting him.
There's been about 6 mass shootings involving children in the States since he was shot. He fought for more people to have arms and against gun reform, so I do not understand why Canadians that actually have gun reform that keeps us safe would be celebrating somebody who actually fought for more people to get hurt and was a victim of his own rhetoric. It makes no sense.
Hey Colette, what is going on in the world of weather?
Well, in the world of weather, you know, we had a beautiful day today, 22 degrees for the high for Windsor. But if you look kind of eastward, you see some of the cooler readings just in the high teens. However, I would like to take your attention more westward and see some of the heat here. High 20s, even 30 degrees in St. Louis. And that will be coming our way. Not as soon as tomorrow, but probably the day after that. Yep, Friday. So for tonight, 10 degrees for your low. A little bit of fair weather cloud in there tomorrow. A high of 23, similar to today, but maybe not quite as breezy as what we were experiencing. So it's going to have a nice feel. And then the warmth kicks in. Jason, I'll tell you about that when I come back.
All right, we'll check in a little later. Thanks, Colette. The Crown is wrapping up its case against Brian Marbury. He's on trial for first-degree murder in the death of his estranged wife. And today, Marbury's steps were being retraced around the time of her death in May of 2023. Kathleen Sailors reports.
Marbury is on trial for first-degree murder in the death of his estranged wife, Zara Boulay. Boulay was staying at Hyada's house on May 26th when she left to meet Marbury at a hotel room, the last night she was seen alive. With a Windsor police sergeant on the stand, Crown Attorney Emil Carrington guided the witness and jury through Marbury's movements on May 29th. Carrington showed video, some of which the jury had previously seen, of Marbury exiting the hotel room after 2 a.m., a heavy object over his shoulder. Windsor Police Sergeant R.J. Franklin told the court he believes that to be Boulay's body. From there, snippets of video from businesses in the area along Huron Church showing Marbury walking at times, appearing aimless, sometimes with a garbage bin and sometimes without. The Crown believes that wheeled garbage bin contained Boulay's body. Marbury has already pleaded guilty to causing an indignity to a human body. It's first-degree murder he's on trial for. Defense lawyer Kenneth Marley will soon begin calling witnesses. He has previously sought to cast doubt on the Crown's version of events, suggesting through other witnesses that she could have overdosed or passed out. The jury has previously heard that Boulay's cause of death could not be determined because of the condition of her remains. The trial will continue on Thursday. Kathleen Sailors, CBC News, Windsor.
Premier Doug Ford welcomed his Michigan counterpart to Queen's Park today. Governor Gretchen Whitmer visited the province to discuss the challenges Trump's tariffs are creating for the auto sector.
There's a tremendous amount of opportunity in economic development, creating the environment for both Michigan and Ontario to thrive and grow and prosper. And that's what we talk about. We're each other's largest trading partner.
That's why I wanted to make sure to come to talk about how do we strengthen this relationship, how do we ensure that both of our economies continue to grow.
Ford and Whitmer highlighted the $61 billion in annual two-way trade between Ontario and Michigan, much of it tied to the auto sector. Both said they want to expand that partnership, pointing to upcoming projects like the Gordie Howe International Bridge as symbols of cooperation. Both leaders avoided direct criticism of Washington. And auto workers in Oshawa are staring down mass layoffs in January, but there's still demand for the trucks they make. So where will all those jobs be going? Well, to the U.S. in the wake of Trump's tariffs. Reporter Christian Davino went to Indiana to see how they view the industry shakeup.
We had such a good process here in Fort Wayne, and we didn't bother anybody, and we didn't ask for help. We did it in-house.
Setting his beer down and putting his elbow up on the Union Hall bar, Rich Letourneau firm in stating Indiana workers never asked for Canadian jobs.
But when the company comes to me to increase volume, I'm not going to tell them no either, because it's job security for my people. And hell, if I can corner the market, I will.
Letourneau represents the 4,000 workers at the GM plant in Fort Wayne, about 7 hours from Oshawa. This is where GM is adding more jobs, building the Chevrolet Silverado. Right now, that work is happening 24/7 in Oshawa. But in January, 750 workers on the midnight shift will be laid off, along with more than 1,000 parts suppliers. GM hired 250 temporary workers in Fort Wayne earlier this year to keep up with increasing production. CBC News asked the auto giant how many more trucks it wants to build here. The company declined the comment.
I don't think GM wants to look as though, hey, we're taking product from other countries, which are still our company, because as you know, when Oshawa closed the first time, it got a little bitter in Canada.
The tariffs are driving a wedge between auto unions in Canada and the U.S. Jeff Gray heads Unifor Local 222 in Oshawa and says he understands the UAW's position.
If we had the opportunity in Canada to increase our volume or get different investments, of course we would be after that.
Gray says Canadian auto workers are vulnerable right now, which is bad for them and bad for Oshawa.
And good paying jobs like auto assembly here in Ontario, if we let these jobs leave, they're not going to come back. So we have to fight like we've always fought for these jobs.
The union wants to retain Oshawa's position as an automotive leader, confident a federal trade deal can be found with the U.S., one that could save the jobs that are still here.
This is a Meteor. This is a uniquely Canadian car.
GM has over 100 years of history in this city, documented at the Canadian Automotive Museum downtown. At its peak, the GM factory had 23,000 employees. Since the 80s, that's dwindled.
There's very much, even among people who live here, a perception still to this day that Oshawa is a car building town, when arguably the actual fact is Oshawa is now a hospital town and a university town.
City data backs that up. Manufacturing only represented 3% of Oshawa's workforce last year. Healthcare, retail, trade, and educational services are now the top 3 employers.
It's nowhere near the dominant industry it used to be, but that idea has a lot of resonance with people and a lot of kind of emotional inertia, even as the city is changing very dramatically.
Oshawa's mayor also wants to see the industry continue, even if some think the writing's on the wall.
Some may say, well, it's a different day, so maybe the day has passed of the auto industry in Oshawa, and I can't come to terms with that, and I don't believe it.
Back in Fort Wayne, GM is the 3rd largest employer, but surprisingly, there are few signs of the company's presence. No sports teams named after their vehicles, and public art embracing local cultures rather than internal combustion. Allen County, which Fort Wayne resides in, says that's intentional. It is trying to diversify its economy. But this county also voted for Trump in 2024 and liked his message of bringing back American manufacturing. Rich Beck is a county commissioner which oversees the GM plant. So far, he says the tariffs seem to be helping.
We've seen a significant increase in just phone calls and interest in moving plants in. So from that respect, the tariffs must be working, or at least getting somebody's attention.
But they're not working for everyone. GM is forecasting a $5 billion hit to its bottom line this year from auto tariffs. And Fort Wayne's plant is struggling under another Trump administration policy, immigration. Les Tourneau says there's a 22% absentee rate at the plant, and it's hard to find workers who want to work more than 5 shifts a week.
If we can't get people that have a desire to work in manufacturing, you can bring all the manufacturing jobs you want back in the U.S., but if there's nobody here to do the jobs, we got a problem.
This may be where Oshawa has the edge. Listen to the union tell it.
We're used to here in Oshawa, General Motors working 6 days a week, our suppliers working 6 or 7 days a week to keep up to them. And that's the life we know, and it would be devastating if we lost that way of life.
GM has already pushed the planned layoffs back once, and many will be hoping it does the same again. Christian Davino, CBC News, Oshawa.
Well, after months of construction, a high-traffic intersection in the Lakeshore Tecumseh area opened with an upgrade. The new 2-lane concrete roundabout at County Road 42 and Manning Road is part of a larger project to ease traffic congestion in an area that's seeing some growth.
With that next star plant, we're also expecting a boom in residential growth. So then again, not only do you have commuters going to and from work as well as the trucks, you have residential properties that have usually a minimum of 2 cars. So again, all of that is multiplied. So again, with easing the load, it makes it easier for everyone.
And the 4 months of construction caused headaches for commuters. It's part of the 3rd phase of the corridor project, which will also see the widening of County Road 42 from the new roundabout to L'Esperance Road. It will include the new addition of sidewalks and other landscaping, and that's expected to be completed by December of this year. The overall project for all 5 phases is expected to climb up to $100 million.
Christie, CBC News at City Hall.
And that was former CBC Windsor's Kim Christie doing what he loved to do, cover local stories. Longtime viewers will recognize his work, and we're sad to report that Christie died on Tuesday. He reported on a variety of Windsor stories that earned him a number of accolades, and he's survived by his wife Marianne and son Alex. They're the only whales remaining in captivity in Canada, but the lives of 30 belugas at a shuttered marine park in Ontario are now in jeopardy after a request to export them overseas was denied. Katie Nicholson reports.
Marineland's beluga whales won't be moving to China, but their lives remain in limbo. The shuttered theme park's applications to export 30 belugas to Chimelong Magic Kingdom denied by Federal Fisheries Minister Joanne Thompson.
It was a very difficult decision, but one that I feel was made in the best interest of the whales.
Thompson visited the animals last month.
To see 30 belugas in contained spaces was very difficult.
A source working with Marineland told CBC News the park is about to file for bankruptcy following Ottawa's decision, and that it costs $2 million a month to care for the animals, and it will hand them over to the government to be euthanized. Ontario's premier insists they could still be exported somewhere else.
We don't have to move all 30 in one shot, a couple here, a couple there. We need the federal government to sign off on it, or, these whales they're on their hands.
The Department of Fisheries and Oceans disagrees. It says if Marineland can no longer provide care, responsibility for their welfare transfers to the Government of Ontario under provincial law. Amid the finger-pointing, animal justice advocates see opportunity to push for the development of a seaside sanctuary like the one proposed for a Nova Scotia inlet.
And with federal support, with provincial support to make this happen, anything is possible.
Possible, but it could take a long time to get up and running.
And potentially you're going to be saddling the taxpayer with millions and millions of dollars for the next 30 to 50 years.
Costly, but perhaps it's just the right thing to do, says this biologist.
Given what we as humans have put them through for their lives today, in some ways, I think it's just owed to them that we do this properly.
Ontario's Solicitor General oversees animal welfare. It hasn't said yet what it plans to do about the whales it could soon inherit. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
A standoff between the Republicans and Democrats has resulted in a U.S. government shutdown. Chris Reyes now with the fallout.
Some 750,000 U.S. government jobs hang in the balance as Republicans and Democrats battle over a funding bill that keeps the U.S. federal government running. Many non-essential workers face getting sent home without pay, and that includes employees at the Security and Exchange Commission, the Federal Aviation Administration. Those at the IRS and health agencies like the CDC are also affected. Both parties, no surprise, are not just blaming each other, they're naming this shutdown after their opponents.
Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House. Democrats are here working on behalf of the American people. We're fighting to lower costs, cancel the cuts, and to save health care. And we're House Republicans, they are on vacation.
And then this post from the White House, its claim is that the far left wing of the Democratic Party wouldn't budge on, quote, free health care for illegals and woke nonsense. Further hammering the Trump administration's messaging, Vice President J.D. Vance addressed the media during a White House briefing today. Despite the false claim that the Democrats are providing health care to illegal immigrants, he insisted that the Biden-era health care subsidies were being used for that purpose.
If you're an American citizen, you've been to a hospital in the last few years, you probably noticed that wait times are especially large, and very often somebody who's there in the emergency room waiting is an illegal alien, very often a person who can't even speak English. Why do those people get health care benefits at hospitals paid for by American citizens? The answer is a decision made by the Biden administration that the Trump administration, working with congressional Republicans, undid.
Democrats argue that they're pushing to extend health care subsidies for Americans, subsidies that are expiring at the end of the year because of Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill, which narrowed Medicaid eligibility and made clear that undocumented immigrants are not allowed to receive coverage.
The Republican health care crisis is devastating, the likes of which no one has ever seen. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history. A possible $536 billion cut to Medicare because of the one big ugly bill.
The last government shutdown was under Trump's first administration, and that lasted 35 days. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Time now for a live look at weather. Colette Kennedy, of course, joins us for that. And Colette, I was telling you about rollerblading into work this morning. You were talking about the cooler nights, and so the mornings are a bit cooler. So it was kind of the perfect temperatures to kind of roll into work.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you did that. It was really nice conditions for that. And some folks, I imagine, like it just maybe a little bit warmer. And we have that for you folks as well as we get towards the weekend. So enjoy, these couple of days where temperatures are at least closer to seasonal, still kind of on the warm side, because we could have some record warmth coming our way. And just showing you that sort of perspective, because there's some of the cooler air that was pushing down from the north with this ridge of high pressure and that more east to northeasterly wind. But as our winds turn more towards the south and then west, some of this warmth is going to be pushing towards us. And boy, there's a lot of it in the Midwestern U.S., even into the northern plains and into our prairie provinces, where they've had some upper 20s and low 30s. So that heat will be coming our way. For now, you get to enjoy. We were up to 22. It's 21 degrees now. Chatham-Kent at 20. Some teens around too. Mostly clear skies, but there is some fair weather cloud kind of pushing towards us tonight and into tomorrow as well. And that's about all I can tell you. Dry, but mostly sunny. A little fair weather cloud here and there. Anything but fair weather cloud when we're talking about Hurricane Imelda. And I just want to update you because here it is with those the movement east-northeast at about 35 kilometers an hour, and it's sitting west-southwest of Bermuda. So that movement's going to take it right towards the island, and the wind speeds are 160 kilometers per hour. So we are looking at, let's go in for a closer look here, a Category 2 moving right across the island. So 50 to 100 millimeters of rain, and those strong winds and some damage from those are certainly something that they'll be bracing themselves for, and we'll keep our eye on that situation. There it is, a little bit of that light cloud to come in here. Not a lot to talk about when you get, it's all good stuff. High pressure really anchoring. And so that carries into the weekend, and that change in wind direction will warm things up. But tonight down to a low of 10 degrees, and then tomorrow just a tiny bit warmer than today, kind of a similar feel, but without the breeze, 23. There you go into the weekend. I may be being a little bit modest with some of these temperatures. 27 on Friday, mix of sun and cloud to partly sunny on Saturday, a high of 28. And notice what happens with the overnight lows. They're above seasonal, back into the mid-teens. And this does carry on into Monday, Jason. By about Tuesday, though, things will be changing and we'll get a chance for some rain coming back.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Colette. That's it for us here at CBC. Thank you for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.